Welcome again, viewers, to Dual Podcast. I am Dr. Maggie, and we are back again on the topic of addiction. Last time we had an interesting speaker here who talked about addiction, which is a major issue that affects so many people. And we realized we did not finish because there were some important points, important topics. I remember she's going to just give us a brief of what she talked about, but we needed to talk about uh, there's gambling addiction, pornography addiction, food addiction, and all other addictions that we can see the ones that we'll be able to cover. Karibu, you can introduce yourself and just give us a quick recap of what we discussed before we go to these other forms of addiction.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lovely to be here again.
Karibu.
It was really nice getting to talk about addiction with you in our part one of our video. So if you haven't watched the video, go and watch it again. My name is Suni Wendy. I am a licensed counseling psychologist practicing in Kenya. I focus mostly on addiction management, looking at behavioral addictions, the ones that we've been discussing. I'm also very passionate about working with young people. And recently, I've developed even more interest in working with young mothers as well. Thank you so much, Karibuni, and I'm looking forward to this amazing conversation, even as we continue to unpack the topic of addiction.
Yes, so Suni, last time you talked about addiction, the common types of addiction, and how you handle them. And I remember you giving some examples of cases you had handled successfully. Yeah, so tell us a brief of what you discussed last time before we go to the others.
Okay, so I know those who did not watch the other one, you feel like you're missing out, but don't worry, we'll just give you a brief explanation on what we talked about. So ideally, when we look at addiction, we were trying to just help you understand that addiction is not just a bad habit that you form repeatedly. As psychologists, we define it as a relapsing brain disease that is characterized with compulsive behaviors. And maybe just to help you understand it a bit more, you will notice that for you to know that you're addicted, there'll be a lack of control or loss of control when it comes to a particular behavior or substance. For some people, especially most of the clients that I'm working with, you'll notice that sometimes you'll be having cravings and withdrawal symptoms. So when I talk about cravings and withdrawal symptoms, in cases like gambling, you notice maybe you have around 500 bob in your M-Pesa, but you will not sleep that night until you make sure Aviator has taken your money. I know viewers at home, you can relate, yeah? So you feel like literally your body is itching because you want to gamble. And then maybe even when it comes to alcohol, you will not pass alcohol and not drink it. So there's a lot of cravings and withdrawals, and sometimes it's not even physical, it's even through the mood swings. When you haven't smoked, you're very irritable. You don't even want to be around people. When people try and ask you what's wrong, it becomes a challenge. So if you're experiencing some of those, you'll know then it's addiction. And then I'd also like to pinpoint this because, Doc, you remember as we were clarifying the other time, most of these addictions, especially the behavioral ones, no one will look at you and know. But as professionals, and I'm glad you're able to talk about this to just enlighten you, is you notice that some characteristics that we will tell. For example, you're lying a lot. You're working, but every month we cannot see where the money is going. Every time you're at the hospital, quote unquote, you need money. You're getting into so many loans and debts from people. Even people don't want to pick your calls because they know whenever they pick your call, it's because you're going to borrow money. And you, behind the scene, all your money is going to gambling, okay? So these are some of the characteristics. We are also looking at increased tolerance. And with increased tolerance, the term might sound technical, but it's not really. So the idea is if you're someone who used to maybe drink alcohol, there's a point in your life where maybe 1 or 2 beers would be enough and then you'd go home. But now it's gotten to a point where your body sort of wants more for you to get the desired effect. So 1 bottle, 2, 3, it gets to even 24 bottles. But last and not least is you will find yourself getting to moments where you're questioning, is it a problem? And you're fighting with people in your life, your family, your employer, your boss, people, your loved ones, yeah? They are constantly worried about you and they're talking about the problem. So if that is you, thank you so much for joining us because today we'll also get to unpack and understand how then do we manage this addiction.
Thank you,
Dr.
because I know of some people who they have those qualities. They're using the money that is meant for food. Their families are quarreling them that they are not there. They are not performing well at work, but they say,
Yeah.
"No, I'm not an addict. I'm functional. I'm
Yeah.
okay." You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you've said something very important. That it reaches a time you've got to really check your life and see, are you really moving forward?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Mm.
And maybe even just to add on that, and I'll give this example, because within my line of career, I'm very privileged to have gotten an opportunity to save the lives of Kenyans one call at a time. And there's a season where a lot of Kenyans would reach out to a very trusted toll-free line just to get mental health support. And shockingly, every day I'd get up to 5 or 6 calls related to gambling addiction. And I know that number sounds like a joke, but it's not. And you notice it wasn't just I'm struggling with gambling. It's I want to die. I don't see the point of living. So I'll give this story, Doc, and this is
Okay.
this is someone that has stayed in my heart for a long time. Even as doctors, sometimes we remember you. Yeah. So I remember there's a particular client who called, a man, and this man called and he was crying. He was crying, and getting to hear a man crying and be that broken,
Difficult.
it's very difficult. And I could tell he was very overwhelmed. And what he said, the first word that he said is, "There's no point of me living. I am not even calling to ask you to help me. I'm just calling to tell you to tell my family goodbye." And the moment he mentioned that, of course, that already made me feel some type of way. I realized that this person had active suicidal ideations. He was thinking of ending his life. So I was able to just calm him down, offer him a listening ear empathetically. And he broke down and told me how this was the third time he had used money that was meant for projects, money from his employer, to gamble. And every time he kept on gambling, he always felt like a big win was coming. So it started with small amount of money, like 1,000, 100. But it got to a point where now, this particular day, he gambled 400,000.
Wow.
And
Where did he get all that money from?
the money was meant for business. His boss was trusting him to use the money for projects.
business.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there's a time he gambled 100,000, but the wife saved him. The wife was able to get a loan and rescue
Pay
him.
that.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then now he was saying, this time my wife cannot help me. So he felt like he had already betrayed the trust of the people that care for him. It was getting to a point where he was feeling so much shame and guilt. He was feeling worthless. There was a lot of blame. And these are some of the... Okay, maybe just to conclude the story, the man is alive. Thank God.
We thank God.
Yeah.
He didn't
He
harm
didn't
himself.
die. Yeah. And that
Yes.
is why I'm grateful he called, because when he called now, we were able to offer him psychological support. And that's why we'll talk about the kind of treatment options that are there, or the kind of support. But that can be someone else. Maybe yours was not 400,000, maybe yours was 1,000 or even 20,000, but you know how bad you've been stuck in this cycle and you'd want to come out.
Did he stop gambling?
Of course,
Yes, you saved his life.
Yeah.
But did he stop?
So in terms of follow-up, we were able to connect the man to places where he would get more support. We were also able to connect his family, because what I realized is, when calling in was the first step. But you see, with addiction, recovery is lifelong.
It's lifelong.
You can never say you're fully cured from addiction. It's lifelong.
It's a journey.
It's a journey.
And then maybe you can also say, was it only you helping him, or did you have to involve his family and his more people?
Yeah, definitely. When it comes to you reaching out, and maybe this may not necessarily be about him alone. When you reach out, especially when it comes to even gambling as a problem, you will notice that there's support that you can get psychologically, but there's also financial support that you need, because you also need someone to manage your money. There's spiritual support, we'll talk about it. So from that point, you're able to do crisis management and manage the situation. Then we referred him for more support, and of course we involve the family.
Okay, and that's a success. We hope it will be a success story.
And many more.
And many more. Yeah. So viewers, those of you listening there, you've now known what it means if you're addicted. There are telltale signs of addiction. Seek help, and you can be supported. Yeah. Yeah, so you talked of gambling. I thought you were going to say that on the toll-free line you had more alcoholism than gambling.
And Doc, I'm glad that you've talked about alcohol, because I mean, everyone in Kenya knows that alcohol is somehow socially accepted. Yeah.
Despite that, the fact that it's a problem.
Yeah, so of course we'd had so many cases of alcohol use disorder, as the term we use in psychology. But then alcohol is definitely a problem, and if you've not watched part one, you will see we talked a bit about it.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
what I came to realize, and how I'll break it down, when it comes to addiction or even just handling at the stages of recovery, you will realize that most of the times we have we might be having a problem, or we might be on the road to addiction, but you are not aware. So there's a psychologist who did research, and he developed 5 stages. So I'd want you to listen keenly, because I'm going to be very brief. I want you to see what
Yeah,
stage you are at.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yes.
So he said there are 5 stages of recovery, or 5 stages of change. So the first stage is what we call the pre-contemplation stage. And I won't be technical. That stage, what that means is you're in a stage where you don't think there's a problem. In fact, everyone else who's telling you have a problem, they're the ones who have a problem. And I know most of us, we
Yeah.
are there, if you know.
Where we are drinking or we are smoking or watching pornography,
And
but we
gambling.
say and gambling, but we say there's no problem.
Mimi sina shida
Yeah,
in
I can
Kiswahili.
control. We think we can control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You feel like there's no problem, but people have started noticing. So that's usually the first stage.
Yeah.
Where you're completely in denial about how bad the situation is. Then there's the stage called contemplation, which is the second stage. And with contemplation is when now you start to get ready. You now start to think, okay, maybe there's a problem. It's the maybe stage.
Maybe.
Yeah? And we see with the maybe stage, it's a good stage, because now you're starting to get curious. You're now starting to actually look inwards to see, okay, I might actually have a problem. And then now from that stage, we move to the third stage, which is preparation. With preparation is now, we say now acceptance has started coming in. So now is when now you call, you're watching our podcast, you want to see, am I addicted? Where can I get help? Preparation is a good stage, because this is the point where you even start researching what is addiction, which rehabs can I go to.
Meaning you are addicted, you've passed the stage of maybe I am, but you're still taking it.
Yeah.
But then now you reach a point where maybe I need help.
Yeah, I need help. I
So
need
you
to
start
look for help in
researching.
case I need
Yeah.
it.
And by then, are you getting counseling or no counseling?
You're still researching. So now you get counseling in the next stage, which is the action stage.
Yes.
And I really, really commend the people who get to the point where you move to action. Because with action is you now making deliberate effort to go look for help.
Okay.
Or whatever form of help looks like for you. So that is the action stage, which is where you're actively now starting the treatment. And now lastly, and I know most people don't understand what this stage is, it's the relapse stage. The relapse, it's part of the recovery process. Because addiction is usually very cunning.
Yeah.
You can go for 5 months and think, I'm okay. Then one day you wake up and then you find yourself
in the bar.
So if you've ever relapsed, don't feel like that is the end of it. Even if you fall down, you always get up. So relapse is also part of the treatment. And if you've ever gotten to a point where you've relapsed, help is still available for you.
So do you get people who fully recover even having gone through relapse stage?
Very many.
Gotten up, fallen again, gotten up, and eventually come out of it?
Eventually come out of it. And Doc, we will actually get someone to give us their life story. Someone who's gone through this process, relapsed, action, and gotten to a point where they've recovered. Because recovery is lifelong.
It's lifelong.
Yeah.
So viewers, that's very important that we hear that. Because there are people out there who are in need of help.
Yeah.
Okay.
True.
So you've now talked about gambling. Now, what other kind of addiction do people face?
Okay. The other time, and we'll refer to the other time because this is a part 2.
Yeah.
We mentioned that when it comes to addiction is usually in 2 types: behavioral addictions and chemical or substance addictions. So last time we mentioned a lot about chemical and substances. So when it comes to behavioral, like I said, the most common one that I've seen as a trend coming up currently is the gambling. But we know that secretly there are those who are also addicted to masturbation, pornography. There are those who are addicted to food. There are also those who are addicted to shopping. But the ones that I've interacted with the most, and I'd say I really, really commend anyone who's bold enough to reach out, is pornography addiction. Because what then happens is, most of the times you'll find yourself constantly scrolling at night. I don't know why
They don't do it at daytime. Okay.
Yeah.
They don't do it at daytime.
Yeah. So mostly at night, spending so much time watching pornography,
Mm.
and the problem with it now starts to affect the important relationships. Say if you're married, you'll notice that it will affect your marriage. It will also get to a point where now you're feeling a lot of shame, a lot of guilt. Sometimes you don't even want to confront people. Then the effects are vast. But whatever it is, just know that help is also available.
I thought, Suni, when you're talking of a married couple, they go to bed together. Oh, yeah, let's go to bed.
Someone will go to the bathroom.
To the
even
bathroom.
after you've even had the union or sex.
Uh-huh.
Your husband, the spouse can also, with pornography addiction, very cunning, and it's breaking a lot of marriages. One will go and hide in the bathroom.
In the bathroom and take too long in the bathroom. That now the wife is wondering, why is he taking so long?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. It's a big problem.
Yeah. So what are the complications of pornography addiction?
Okay, what I'd say, the reality is, as human beings, we have emotions. So I usually say we have thoughts, emotions, and behavior.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're constantly having yourself exposed to pornographic sites and thoughts, this will then start coming with some emotions that will then lead to what we call depressive symptoms or depression. So you're constantly feeling shame, you're feeling guilt. You're also getting to a point where this behavior is opening up other gates for you, and that would be to the point where we're having a lot of cases of even child molestation, pedophilia and all that. So it opens up a lot. And you're spending a lot of time which you'd rather be using it maybe for work or to spend with your family. So there's a lot of but I've seen it in marriages. It's definitely breaking marriages and relationships.
And I understand it also affects the actual enjoyment of sex with your partner. Because if you're used to seeing, pornography comes with, I'm thinking,
styles and things.
So if you are not getting the style you're used to,
the unrealistic expectations to your partner, and then it also comes in together with masturbation. And with masturbation, a lot of so many negative effects, even physically to your body. Because now you're not able to even get satisfied by your partner
in the natural way.
Yeah.
So I think we are going to have a short break because this is a topic that we will still continue after the break. As we are taking a break, I want you to listen to somebody with a testimony of a lived experience, and you hear it for yourself. We'll see you after the break.
Hi, my name is Christine Lugendo. I am a fitness coach by profession and an upcoming fitness influencer. I'm here to briefly share my story of how I recovered from addiction. I struggled with drug addiction, that is alcohol, marijuana, vape, shisha, name them. It all started as a relief, but it became something that I could not manage. I could not live without. But the turning point came when I realized I was losing myself, my peace, my sense of purpose. I was losing so many relationships. I got disconnected totally from myself. But I finally admitted that I needed help. And with changing the environment, changing the people that I was hanging around with, and of course with the help of God, I was able to recover from it. And I also love working out. I've been working out like consistently, and that has really helped me in managing even up to now. So I'm just here to share with anyone, tell anyone that it is possible to recover from addiction. And the first step is just admitting and accepting that you need help. And you can reach out to the people around you. People care about you. And don't do life alone. Thank you.
Welcome back, viewers. I hope you enjoyed the break. Our presenter, Suni, was telling us something, and we were talking about pornography, and that it's actually, we were discussing that this is a more common addiction than we realize, because usually it's secretive. Am I right?
Very secretive.
Yeah. So then, what are the complications? Some people say addiction is harmless. I mean, pornography is harmless. It's your body. No one will know. But what are some of the complications or the risks or the problems from addiction, sex pornography addiction
Okay.
and masturbation.
Thank you so much, Doc. Because just like Dr. Harry has mentioned, it most of these, I usually say the secretive addictions are usually the most complex ones because you're literally dying in silence and no one knows. So when it comes to pornography, ideally, it's something that you're doing you alone in your phone and your internet. So most of the time you will notice, even if it's the repercussions, it first starts with you. So I usually say you will notice changes in your sleep patterns because you're now the whole night you're on your phone, and we know when sleep is damaged, it spreads over everything, and that is your mood. You're more irritable, you're anxious, you don't even want to be around people. And there's a client I was talking to who told me it got to a point where he started feeling like maybe people know. When people look at him, they know. So he wouldn't even put his phone down because he was scared. So there's a lot of isolation that comes with such a behavior because there's that shame cycle where you're stuck in. Maybe people know. The other thing that I'd like to mention is with pornography or any form of sex addiction, there's what we call escalation. With escalation is you always want new things, and most of these new or novel things are usually riskier. Pedophilia, you want to watch children.
Okay, help me understand. So this sex addiction or this pornographic addiction, they start off with one thing. Maybe they like one style or one type of thing. Then they get bored with that.
Exactly.
Then they want to try out other weirder and weirder things that could end up being dangerous.
Yeah, exactly. So it becomes even more complex because now even the searches that you're watching, and I know those people, the search sites, even the content, you want something hardcore, something worse, something rough, and the challenge is, you notice if you're in a romantic relationship, it will start showing up in your relationship because then now your spouse will not satisfy you. Because the styles that you saw, obviously, those are actors. That's their profession. Your spouse will not match up. Yeah, so you will notice you're even not less sensitive to real life intimacy.
Suni, have you heard of the dark web?
Oh yeah.
Have you seen it?
I've not seen it, but I've heard of it, and they're crazy things.
I actually handled a patient who happened to be looking through the dark web. Not that she usually goes through it, but there was a real reason why she was looking at it. And there she saw something of a child who was abused. You know, those pornographic sites with perversive. And she was traumatized. She got depressed. We had to come and counsel her because what she saw was painful. The baby was suffering, and so you're right that you end up trying more dangerous, more risky.
It's true, and I'm really empathizing with your client. And you see, even as you're speaking, and this is a reality for most of us, even those viewers at home. If you've ever been a victim, or you've ever found yourself in a situation or you've been affected by anything sexually related, sexual abuse, pornography, help is available. Don't die in secrecy. So this is definitely a topic we'll continue to explore further. And then this is why, Doc, I'm happy you brought me back so that we can even see about how then do we handle it. What are the treatment options?
Yeah, so you were talking of, you are telling us the impact of pornography is in a bit, you get paranoid, you can get psychosis, you do dangerous things. How does it affect the relationship of your spouse or the people around you?
Okay, so when you talk about the impact of pornography or even just sexual addictions in a romantic relationship, there's unrealistic expectation that you'll have of your partner. And then number two, because of the mood changes, the irritability, the secrecy. You see, now I want to spend time with you, but you're hiding. Already there's that mistrust and that's isolation. There's some sort of withdrawal from your partner. I'm not getting your partner is not getting the whole of you. He's only getting bits and bits of you that are remaining after the pornography. So the ideal, maybe what I'd say is, it's also not textbook. Every marriage, every relationship is different. So you notice that those who are good at hiding it, so maybe you will never know. But eventually the person who is going through it is the one who also suffers the most.
You suffer the most.
Because in some cases they're struggling to hide this behavior so that people don't know.
So viewers, pornography is a real problem, and yes, you can seek help. and we're going to talk about that soon, just after this. Then I heard you talk about food addiction. I wanted to know how you handle food addiction. And is it common?
Okay. And actually, I remember whenever you talk about food addiction, I remember how it came as a surprise for me. There's a time I was consulting in a psychiatric hospital, and as people were talking about addictions, everyone was talking about the cannabis,
Yeah.
the heroin,
Yeah.
and then there's one particular girl, of course, without disclosing who she is, talked about how food was her drug of choice. And I remember I got shocked, but upon now investigating further, I came to realize that the thing with addiction, there's that loss of control. So what would happen is immediately after eating, you want to eat again, you want to eat again, and again. And it's most of the time it's not healthy food. Or even if it's healthy food, you're eating over and over again. So sometimes you'll experience the body changes. Sometimes there's a lot of shame because people are asking you, are you still eating again? But you were just eating, so you're hiding food in your room. There's a lot of stigma and shame that comes with it. So anything that you find yourself doing excessive and you have no control over, whether it's a good thing or not, that loss of control then makes it addiction.
Okay, that's important. So just before we now talk about managing these people, a lot of this addiction, are there root causes? Even for this gambling addiction, food addiction, and what are one or two cases of root causes?
Okay. And it's good that you brought that, Daktari, because we cannot talk about managing addiction without understanding why people get addicted. Yeah. And I love that you call them root causes. I also like to call them underlying issues. So what I've come to notice is people experience so many things, especially even from childhood. So you can get to a point where maybe just from when you grew up, you never grew up confident. You always feel like for you to appear confident, you need a drink or two. Or you find someone has been experiencing loneliness, someone has gone through a traumatic experience. And I notice most addictions, especially when it comes to substances, they start with issues of loss. There's a particular unresolved loss. Maybe you lost someone or something.
And grief.
So that grief, you start as a way of coping, then you find yourself addicted. When it comes to gambling, and I'll talk about gambling because I've interacted with that a lot, we're in a state where finances have become a problem. So there are some professions within the country that are high risk or demanding. And maybe I'll say it's even without fear of contradiction. I've interacted with a lot of teachers, especially most of my clients who are struggling with gambling addiction, because now then there's that you want to multiply your finances.
Okay.
Yeah, you want to make this 20,000 turn into 100,000 tomorrow. Yeah. So that's unrealistic expectation of wanting to win money immediately. The financial burden also puts people at risk. And maybe last but not least, I noticed most gambling, most addictive behaviors, they start from a point of someone looking for a coping mechanism or an escape, a quick fix to something. And then before you realize it, no one starts, no one actually wants, no one chooses to be an addict, but you find yourself there.
So this root causes, many viewers are already suffering these root causes. So it's very good that we know this so that we know how to prevent, that we'll not go in that direction.
Exactly.
So now we're going to just, as we go towards the end, just talk about how do we manage these types of addiction. Last time we talked about the chemical substance abuse addiction. What of pornography, gambling, food addiction?
Okay.
The behavioral type of addiction.
Okay. Thank you so much. I know this is the point where most of us are looking forward to, where we get to see, now I have all this. What do I do now? I usually say for you to get every intervention depends on where you are in your you remember the stages, the 5? So if you are at a stage where you've already accepted and you're willing to get help, we look as professionals, we usually like to find out how severe are the symptoms. And I'll say this without fear of contradiction. If the symptoms are very severe, especially no matter whatever the addiction is, you will need medical management first. With medical management, the popular term we use is detox. And for detox is to help you manage the withdrawal
the withdrawal symptoms.
You remember the mood swings, because sometimes you can feel like you want to die. That's where the suicidal thoughts come.
thoughts.
Yeah. So those are some of the medical ones. And then now we go to holistic wellness. Because even when you cook at home, we don't cook the same thing every day. Today in Kenya we try ugali, chapati. We want to change mayai. So even when it comes to managing, I usually like to break it in this way: eight steps or 8 categories. Very briefly, there is the physical, emotional, spiritual, environmental, financial, occupational.
You'll take them one by one.
Yeah, I know they sound
briefly,
a lot.
just one by one.
Yeah, so we'll start with physical, Doc. And you see, when everything that you do, whether it is pornography or even gambling, there's always a physical implication. And one thing I came to realize, a lot of my patients who struggle with gambling, they have ulcers.
Because of the
anxiety of constantly waiting for the win.
Acid production in the stomach.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And most of them have sleep problems. So for you to manage physically, then that means you need to find a way that you have a routine that works, and you're managing your sleep, the food that you're eating, you're doing exercises.
Depression, if you have depression.
Exactly. So the physical exercises, you can now try hiking. I know those who've gone for hiking say there's some dopamine, they feel good. So you need to explore all the physical activities that you can do, but key emphasis on a routine. Okay. So then we go to, we look at the social aspect. And social is important because most of the times the addictions thrive in loneliness. People don't know. You don't have a support system. Or the friends that you have are friends who are encouraging you. So maybe let's say you lost 10,000 today. Then you go talk to a friend and they tell you, I actually won 50,000.
Oh my.
So you see, at the end of the day, that is another trigger. So the social life, that means you need to find social places where you can interact with people maybe who are in the journey of recovery. I don't know if the AA, there are some AA treatment plans.
Positive peer pressures, friends who will encourage you and not discourage you.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing with the social circle, sometimes you don't even have to tell them what you're going through. Just being in an environment where people are laughing, people are eating, you're eating together with people. And if you're struggling and you're living alone, I usually encourage, if you can even go back home or get someone to live with you.
Living alone is a challenge.
It's become a risk factor.
It can be okay day 1, day 2, but now every day, I see some people getting very bored.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so maybe they need to go out with friends they can visit, or groups that are safe, and activities like sports and other things.
Yeah, sports, very important. If you don't have a hobby, look for a hobby.
Look for a hobby.
I see a lot of people now are playing tennis or paddle in the country. So if you've not checked into that, maybe you can look into that.
And even pool table.
Yeah.
I've seen so many people enjoy pool.
And swimming.
And swimming,
So there's so many things. You see, at the end of the day, everything you do, it doesn't have to be something that will lead to addiction. There are other things, if you don't try them, you wouldn't know. And maybe just to brush through, because I know most of us are curious to find out what more can we do. We also like to look at emotional support. And when it comes to emotion, you'll realize sometimes when you're using something, or when you're using a substance, or you're getting into a behavior, there's a feeling that you're trying to run away from, or you don't know how to manage. So sometimes you feel so low, or you're bored, so you want something that would make you happy. Something that itakuchangamsha in Swahili. So then that means that when you're working on your emotions, you need to find ways to have activities that help you regulate your emotions. And even therapy comes in. That's where even a therapist will come in, so that you can talk to them. There's financial implications. And when you're looking at financial wellness, especially for gambling, and if you're gambling, listen to me, if you're struggling with gambling, find someone to manage your finances, because you will not get out of the addiction before you surrender your finances. And of course, there are more interventions. We'll share our contacts on how you can get more information, but share your finances and do research on financial literacy. So I think there are 2 more remaining. There's spiritual and occupational. So with spiritual, Doc, I know there's something you want. What are some of the spiritual things
I
people
don't know.
can do?
There's something about spirituality when you do things. It's not just spiritual. It could be singing, spirituality. There are certain things that raise your dopamine, raise your high, and spirituality. People, doctors have found when you do research and people who are spiritual are able to feel better.
Yeah.
There's a natural high that God has given us. You know, we have dopamine naturally, and we have this all these chemicals that are happy chemicals. And there are natural ways that we can feel the high, get even addicted to it, of course not excessively,
Yeah.
and you as an alternative to
the addiction
pornography and other
and the
things.
gambling.
Yeah.
Yeah. So spirituality plays a major role. There's always a higher power that you can
There's
lean
higher
on
power, and then singing. I sing.
You actually have a
I have
song.
a Auntie Maggie.
Yeah, we'll
and
check
let me
that
tell you, from
out.
the time I started singing, people say I'm happy most of the times. They wonder why. I said maybe that's singing. So I'm a testimony to
There's the power of music and
music.
spirituality.
But music, there are two types. There's good music and bad music. Yeah, but yeah. So
Okay, so I know most of our viewers up to this point, and as we are concluding, wherever you are, try to find ways to build on what you have. Read books, there's the intellectual, find games that are stimulating you. There's always something that you can do. But if you don't research and if you remain in silence and if you don't speak up, you won't be able to come out of it. So, Doc, I think up to that point, we've exhausted that.
You have exhausted that for now. And I'm going to take a few questions. There's one person who has asked, how does shame fuel addiction? Like they've noticed that the more shame you feel, the more, instead of moving away from the addiction, you get more addicted. Yeah.
Okay, I think that's a good question. Thank you, viewers, for the question. So, how shame fuels addiction is the fact that shame will be the wall that will prevent you from seeking help. So, the moment you feel worthless, you feel like whatever I'm doing, I wouldn't want anyone to see, you remain hidden. And then that means you don't reach out for help. So, if you don't reach out for help, you get stuck in your sad thoughts, negative thoughts, and unfortunately, you can get to a point where you feel like you even want to die.
So it's a vicious cycle.
It's a vicious cycle.
Vicious cycle. So you need to come out of it by reaching out for support, and you help them break that cycle.
Exactly.
Another question is, what prolongs addiction? Where people are just stuck on it for so long. Maybe you've even tried helping them, and you're not making much headway. What are the factors that
prolong?
That prolong.
Okay, I'll try and break it down in a term that will be easier. But in psychology, there's something called the dopamine reward cycle. Ideally, if you ate nyama choma, for those who love nyama choma, you'd feel nice eating nyama choma. But if you went and tried a beer or heroin, your brain, the part of your brain that is responsible for making you feel nice, then gets stimulated times 10. So this drug or this substance, or even that win when you're betting, will make you feel 10 times happier. So because your brain has registered this as a good feeling, it will now print it as memory, and you'll find yourself going back. So you get stuck at your brain level, and that's why by definition we usually say addiction is a chronic brain disease. So sometimes you want to get out, but without the professional help, without the right support, you may not be able to get out. So I've seen that to be one of the reasons
so
why
therapy
get stuck.
Influences those brain
so in therapy
chemicals,
we are able to
influence that kind of thoughts that are stuck.
Exactly. There are some techniques we use, such as CBT,
cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT.
We have a lot of techniques we use as therapists to help you. That's why it's important you take time to reach out for help.
Then they say, how does one encourage real compassion towards the addicted? Because many people who are addicted, even the relatives get fed up. They say, I wish this person would even kill himself or something. But what should the society do in order to have more compassion for these addicted people?
Okay. And I love that this question has come after the other one, because now when you realize that the person is not intentionally choosing maybe to hurt you, when you start seeing them as someone who needs treatment, then that would help you understand that they are also suffering. So you come in from a point of this is someone who is struggling with a
Struggling.
disease and they need help. And then the other thing I'd say, it can always be anyone. It can be you. So when it comes to support, you can find a way to be present, to show love and empathy without necessarily enabling. Let's say there's a time I had a relative who was struggling with addiction for a while. And I remember every time he'd come home, would be scared, maybe he'll steal our phone, he'll do something. Everyone would start hiding things,
their
yeah.
phone.
But there's a day we came to realize that sometimes whenever he came and we offered him food, we offered him room to shower because it gets very unkempt, it got to a point where he never stole from us. Maybe he'd steal outside, but he wouldn't steal from us. So just show empathy within your ability. I know that these are people who are needing help themselves. It's not a choice.
So we are our brother's keeper.
Exactly.
Yeah, because we say no, it's someone else, but it can be you.
Yeah, it can be
or
you.
It could be a family member.
Yeah, exactly.
And the last question I'm getting is, what does rock bottom in addiction mean when you say hitting rock bottom?
Okay. I remember this is a lecturer when I was in school. A lecturer told us, with addiction, your destination is either prison, hospital, or death.
The grave.
Or the grave. And it sounded so dramatic, but that's the truth. So unfortunately for most people, you wait until it's too late. So I maybe just to urge you, don't wait until it gets to the point where now you're very sick, or now it gets to a point where you've lost everything, or it gets to a point where now you're even at the verge of death for you to seek help. Seek help as early as possible. There are professionals here to help you. I am here. I'll share my page. It's Councillor Wendy KE. Daktari also is here. So help is available.
So help is available, and please, that's the reason why we have this podcast, to be able to share factors that affect people and for people to know that there's help. Don't struggle alone. And should you need to contact us, there's a number she's going to share.
My number is on the screen.
And also there's a facility that we work and help so many people. The number is also on the screen. And you're welcome to contact us. And thank you so much, viewers.
Thank you.
Until the next podcast.
Bye.
Bye.